Sweet, man. Yeah, excited to connect with you. And yeah, I've been following you for a while. I mean, detox is something that is not on the popular agenda, right? So it's just fun to connect with a like minded individual and talk all things detox and spirituality. That's what my channel is all about. So yeah, just excited to have you. So, first, just give a little introduction for people who haven't heard about your channel or anything that you do, just a little brief introduction, and we'll go from there.
Sure, man. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I checked your channel out and I saw you got a beautiful following there of loyal people who love what you do and we share a similar mission. So I'm all aboard. Um, so yeah, my name is Josh Mason, and I went through about 3.5 year, 4 year serious ordeal with mental and physical illness, heavy metal poisoning, Lyme disease. But I actually didn't know it was heavy metal poisoning and Lyme disease for about 3.5 years. So during that time, I traveled around the world. I lived in the Amazon jungle for a year, almost a year, working with ayahuasca, and tried every modality under the sun: float tanks, meditation, vipassana, yoga, a lot of hallucinogens. And it wasn't until I learned about detoxification that my life truly transformed. And now I do what you do. I have a YouTube channel. I coach and do retreats and preach this message of detoxification to the world. So
Awesome, brother. That's so cool. I mean, I totally hear you. We always think that it's something, on the surface, and it's usually much deeper than that. Heavy metals. I mean, I look at this as like, we all have that toxic load, right? And a lot of people just really don't understand what, real clarity of mind means or what real performance is until you start really detoxing. And it's not something that you go off and do like a cleanse or whatever. This is like a lifestyle. This is something you have to commit to, and you really have to put in the work. So first of all, thank you for putting in the work, Josh. I know you've done so much, and Lyme disease, all that is no joke, and it's something that I live in the reality where all things are possible with nature and through these modalities that we're talking about. So that's what I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit, as far as more, specific protocols, just people listening, watching, that they can, I feel like that word detox just gets thrown around a lot these days, and just, gives a little tidbits as far as what you went through on your journey. And then we can kind of, talk about it all. I mean, obviously plant medicine is a huge part about it. There's like this reinsurgence right now of all of these modalities, and it's just exciting time to be alive.
yeah. Well, there's so much to respond to that. Can you give me one little piece to touch?
Oh yeah, sure. So let's talk about right there when you went from the switch, like when you said 3.5 years and you didn't even know it was heavy metals and things. So was it an actual test that you got, and like a hair follicle test, I'm assuming, or how did that kind of story happen first?
Yeah. It was a hair mineral analysis,
Yeah.
and it was also way more important than that test was actually a story that I read, Connie Fox, Mercury Madness. It was the first story that I had ever read out of hundreds of spiritual books or mental illness books, hundreds of thousands of hours of YouTube videos, and everything I could find, consuming every piece of content because my life depended on it. And I read that story and I just said, this is what I'm dealing with. This level of suffering is unimaginable. And she went through it. So the flip that happened was, I went from, because I was detoxing while I was living in the jungles, and I was doing a lot of detox, a lot of fasting, a lot of herbs, a lot of juicing. And the switch that happened was, oh, this is a very, very big journey, and I can't fast my way out of this problem.
Yeah.
So my paradigm may be a little different than a lot of your folks, or the typical vegan detox movement,
Yeah.
or the juice fasting movement. My journey told me that that wasn't enough, at least for me. I can't tell. I'm fairly certain you do a lot of juicing and fat.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally, and that's why I want to interview people like you, because I completely agree with you. It's not, that's not the answer for everybody, and it's all about the individual. So I, hoping to shed some light to others with this, because yes, I think, as much as juice fasting is wonderful, being vegan, all that stuff is wonderful. It could not be enough. It could be. I mean, a lot of people, I think, get these empty promises, and it's something like yourself. It's not the end all be all. There really isn't one thing or one recipe or superfood or herb, or doesn't matter how many trips to the jungle or whatever, you know, everyone's on their own unique journey. So that's important to just, you know, have that reminder.
Totally. Yeah. So the thing that occurred to me for my own journey was that this juice vegan movement that I was very deeply invested in was amazing, and it for sure cleaned my colon and did a really good job of bringing a more clarity into my vessel. But what I realized is that there was a deeper layer of toxins in my organs and tissues and in my gut, and my gut was pretty destroyed, that I needed something deeper. And that's when I started tapping into the world of the Dr. Klinghardt, who I actually just posted a video with today,
Oh, cool.
and a few other doctors and teachers who were advocates for deep, thorough gut healing, mast cell stabilization, binders, you know, things like clays, charcoals, zeolites, and
Yes.
Puros gel, microsilica. And my world kind of became this hybrid of the fasting, the juicing, the clean eating, and also this very deep, intricate, thorough detoxification of the organs and tissues that didn't necessarily wasn't limited to nature and herbs. There were some man-made things in there and synthesized things that really honestly saved my life. So that's kind of where that flip happened. It was like I knew detox was important. I knew it was a life-changing tool, but I needed to address my emaciated gut and my mercury and my parasites really before I could truly ascend to the next level of health.
Cool. Awesome, dude. I'm all for it. Yeah. Let's get into that a little bit as far as what, you know, man things you're talking about. Cause I know, the IV therapy, certain things like listeners and watchers might be familiar with that, but I think you're talking about something a little bit deeper here that maybe no one's even heard of before.
I can share a lot of my protocol. I'm happy to do that. And I guess my protocol, you know, this has been distilled from many different teachers and people.
Yeah.
I feel like in this day, none of us actually own anything.
No.
Right? So it's a protocol that I recommend, and it's ever evolving and changing. But
Yes.
the thing that I would recommend to people in very my detox strategies are different based on someone's level of health. When someone is in an emergency situation, we're talking about panic attacks, heart palpitations, inability to work,
Yeah.
full-time anxiety, full-time management of their symptoms. Like we're talking about the realm of the hungry ghost here.
Oh, yeah.
That's one protocol. And then I also have clients who are biohackers and CEOs and people who are just like, hey, Josh, I feel a little tired sometimes. Can you help me?
Yep.
So the protocol really varies dramatically between the spectrum there. And so why don't I talk a little bit about, so we'll start in the panic emergency state as I feel like those people need the wisdom the most.
Yes.
So the things that changed my life dramatically were first, a thorough gut healing protocol combined with mast cell stabilization. So mast cells are mostly found in the gut. They control our histamine response. And when those are going haywire, it's very difficult to detox. It's very difficult to consume nutrients. The body will react to virtually everything. This is in conjunction with leaky gut issues. It's an atom bomb. Okay?
So common. Yeah.
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 So the things that I like, I really like brain gain. I like neuroprotec. I like quercetin, rutin, luteolin. I like reishi. For very extreme cases, I have learned from Klinghardt and a few other folks, Mark Clark, about ketotifen, which is a prescription drug. And of course, talk to your doctor about it. I'm not a physician. I just want to make sure that's very clear that everything we're talking about in this video is not medical advice. Please consult with your physician.
Yes.
My company is called the Detox Dudes. I'm literally just a dude. So better yet, don't even take my advice. So the ketotifen, and then we move into gut healing, which things like acacia fiber, colostrum, liposomal colostrum, licorice root, butyric acid, binding to lectins. So I like a okra, larch bark, um, okra, larch, and there's a couple of others that are really good for binding to lectins that I'm spacing on right now. And there are many other gut healers as well that I use. Acacia, colostrum. Oh, I like Restore, so fulvic and humic acids to detox glyphosate, heal the tight junctions.
Yeah.
And there's a few others there as well. And then kind of once we start working on the gut and the mast cells, what I encourage people to do is to check out binders. So binders, as most detox folks are savvy to now, are things like charcoal, coconut charcoal, bamboo charcoal, bentonite clay, zeolite, microchitosan, and Turos gel, microsilica. These are like vacuums for toxins, and they're magnets. They grab onto toxicity and they allow you to pee and poop out these toxins. And it's a missing link in the detox movement. I mean, people are chelating, people are doing 40-day fasts, and they're not taking binders. And it's like, how does the body need support? You know, in my perspective, and my journey has taught me, is that we have swung so far on this pendulum of disease that we need everything we have to heal from it. We can't just do it with juices and fruits and vegetables, in my opinion. So yeah, those binders are pretty mission critical. And anyway, there's a lot more there, but I'll let you lead the way.
No, you're good. No, I mean, I agree with it. I mean, I've experienced similar things. Just so a little background with myself too. I was in that same boat. I was diagnosed with IBS when I was 16. Standard American diet. A lot of people, start there, of course, and then slowly through their awakening or whatever you want to call it, there's definitely detox that needs to happen. And I completely agree with you with the binders. It's very important to have something that's going to attract, like you're saying, to these heavy metals, to these toxins, and get them released through the body. Like I said earlier, it's something that sounds good on paper. Oh, I just do this 30-day fast and then I'm good, and I got the kundalini flowing and I'm good. Everything's butterflies and rainbows, right? It just doesn't work like that, and you have to really specify for the individual as far as what's happening. For me, through my experience with IBS, healing the gut is just very important. I think a lot of people are walking around right now with leaky gut and IBS and things, and they don't even know it. That was me throughout my entire youth, and it's something that there was a lot of damage that I was causing to myself, and our body is just so smart at adapting to that level of pain, and you probably don't even realize it, and you think it's normal. So there's optimal performance is a key word that gets thrown around a lot, and I think that's what we're all after at the end of the day. We all want happiness and clarity of mind, and something that I look at, like with you, like that's what leads to Alzheimer's, right? Like those heavy metals accumulating, and then the brain just literally stops, and we live in a world right now where that's extremely common. Alzheimer's is extremely common, and it's because of this preventative maintenance is missing, in the protocols, like you're saying, with just something as simple as these binders, or getting room in your life to actually detox and do this as a lifestyle, rather than, like I said, going on this cleanse and then expecting everything to be all butterflies and rainbows at the other end. So it really comes down to the individual and what works best for you. I'm very much in that, vegan and raw life, and juicy, all that stuff is wonderful. I'm very flexible as well, and I believe in that because of what the individual might need. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but I felt like Dr. Robert Morris is probably on the top of my little tier, and I love iridology, and that's been the greatest, single-handedly thing in my life that has helped improve, because I needed to go further as far as diagnosing that thing on the cellular level and the organ system. And I'm still, healing my gut and healing the things that I've been working on for a long time, because like you, it's something that, doesn't happen overnight. And, when you get through these levels, like even one little cleanse or juicing for a few days, it's like you get these little glimpses of what life could feel like, and you're like, wow, this is awesome. And then you just want more and more and more. So I love the, creativity. And I love, what you've done, because that's what it takes, right? That suffering, opens you up. It opens up your heart, and then you have to search deep. You have to really go deep within. For me, creating my channel with the Infinite Cup, Detox too is just one side of it. For me, being a yoga teacher and meditation instructor, it's the spirituality, the clarity of mind that I get through my meditation practice. Like that's what really, creates a full circle picture for me, because anybody can have organic food or do all of this, detox stuff. But at the end of the day, if they're not a happy person, then there's something, missing there. So I just want to say that because it's very much in a holistic approach as far as what we're doing to create that, happiness in our lives. And step one is, to me, detoxing and kind of getting rid of that toxic load. And then we can able to just perform well. So that, like I said, something that you've done is just like, I have to commend you for it. And it's something that we all are on this path together, this great awakening that's happening right now on planet Earth. And detox is just a very important step with that. And whatever works, whatever floats your boat for the individual. If the zeolites work, great. If the clay works, great. Go for that. Chia seeds, go for it. Dr. Robert Morris has a, Heal All Tea has his own products. Everyone else has their own line of products and specific combinations of things that work. Let's just get into a few things real quick that for example, probiotics, right? Like that's a buzzword, and I think there are some truth to that, but at the same time, I feel like it's a big money maker, So let's kind of demystify a few things together here, as far as people listening and watching. It's like they know about probiotics, right? They hear this buzzword. I feel like people right now are on to the idea that like serotonin is made in the gut, and there's been more awareness about the connection between your brain and your gut and those things. But how can we kind of push them a nudge in the right direction?
I just want to mention something when you're talking about the IBS. There's something relatively new called BPC 157, which is a peptide you may want to look into. And any folks that are listening that have gut issues, it's a subcutaneous injection of virtually, it's an amino acid that is for collagen synthesis, and it's supposed to be very, very effective for IBS and IBD. So
sweet,
you may
I'll have
want
to
to
look
look
into
that.
Yeah.
And as far as the probiotics, it's definitely a tricky world. I feel like a lot of these probiotics are coming from cows, and they're very, very simple, and they're not in the complex, micro diverse bacteria that we need as a human being. So I would say that really a lot of it has to come from foods and prebiotics. So things like acacia and green banana flour and yucca. I think prebiotics are mission critical. I think that most probiotics are garbage and are probably getting dissolved in the stomach acids.
Yeah.
What I really like Bravo yogurt, which is GC-MAF. Okay, so it's like fermented probiotics with colostrum.
Yeah.
The macrophage activating factor. I really like that. I really like Megaspore, which is spore biotics, which are a lot of research is coming about that spore biotics are, some of the best probiotics to be taking. And I really like making our own ferments, so
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
In ferments, cabbage, fermented cabbage and putting there's other things you can ferment fruits, and Dr. Cassar, Cassar, is one of the best at, first of all, the guy's a genius at many different things. But he's one of the best at like teaching people how to do ferments and like in a creative, beautiful way. Yeah. So I've learned from him in that regard. And I think taking probiotics rectally is probably the best way to replenish the flora. So suppositories with the world's best probiotics is what I recommend. Or enema implants.
Yeah, cool. Great. No, that's a great upgrade. That's exactly what I think people are looking for. Like I said, instead of wasting your money on this expensive probiotic on the Whole Foods, shelf, you could easily do, a suppository or an enema and get way more out of it. And like you're saying, thank you for the brands too and things like that. Because I just want to provide options for people, because there's a lot of confusion out there. I think detox is, starting to come of age. It's not about like, this diet, this keto or this vegan. It's not about this, thing at all. There's really comes down to the individual. And then first, like for me, it's iridology as far as like actually understanding what's going on. For me, the biggest thing is the gut and the stomach as far as my entire body. And, the weakest link is what's going to get attacked. And that's what creates, more dis-ease or eventually cancer or whatever. It's not like this random thing that just happens to your body, right? So that's something that, I think people just are listening that you need to, first figure out what that thing is. What is the biggest toxic load that you have? And then address that and go from there. And then the domino effect will happen with your body. Once the gut is online, the bacteria is in shape, the brain's going to come back online. You get mental clarity again. You start performing. You get out of bed. You go from that night of the living ghost into a waking person again, and start actually getting your life back on track, and all the lights, start clicking again. So it's definitely a symbiotic, effect that happens within the body. So yeah, for you, let's say, out of all the protocols that you've done, yeah, like you're like me, man, it's like an experiment. We've done so much when it comes. I love it all. I embrace it all. I talk about enemas on my channel a lot. I've recorded myself doing it. Like, this stuff is just so amazing to me, and it's because of the the clarity and the experience that we get from it, right? So of all the things that you've done, just for people listening and watching, what would be the place to start? Is it an enema that they need to do at home? Should they get the colon cleaned out? Do they need to get on probiotics? Where should people start?
Yeah, I would just want to comment on. First, let me help a situation here. I want to comment on. Oh wow, that's not enough. It's just getting in my face here. Okay. Whoop. So I just want to comment on
there you go.
Something you said about, I agree with something that you said about, it's not about joining a team, like most, the way we are in this culture is that we want to be part of a team. Like, hey, I'm a fan of the Yankees, or I'm a fan of the 49ers. And that's a primal thing. And really that's in my opinion, that comes from a void that people have of, not being in a community and not living their purpose.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm about health and feeling good. Like, if you're a vegan or a carnivore, I could care less if you feel good and truly believe that it's helping you. And I'm a believer that as long as we're doing things within within reasonable sustainability, if we as humans feel good, we're not going to destroy the planet. So I understand the vegan movement. I am such a supporter, and I love everything health. But like, if someone has to eat meat in order to feel good, they are going to be better for the planet than the killing of the animal, in my opinion. So the destruction of the planet from the killing of the animal is less harmful to the planet than a human being in this shit. Because a human being in this shit is one less person that can rise and stand up for humanity, for love, for peace, for like, hey, we're being mind controlled here, right? So I'm all about feeling good and doing whatever it takes within some spectrum of reason to feel good. So again, I'm not on any team, and I'm all about health and feeling good and spirit and like love, like I'm a warrior for love, so
beautiful.
So I'm glad that we can be on the same page there, because I know there's a lot of folks in the community that would just not even be interested in listening to what I have to say.
Oh, dude, I've been there, and that's what led me out of the dogmatic, raw vegan fruitarian thing, because I'm all for it. I have a lot of fruitarian friends, raw vegans, all that stuff is wonderful. I very much hit a wall with all of that because of simply how people were acting, and people in that group who are very much like, oh, you eat cooked food, get away from me. Like, there's more separateness, like what you're talking about. There's no love in that, So, and that's the end of the day. I'm like you. We are, a path of the heart. That's what we're doing, and that's what my channel is all about here. This great awakening that's happening is rooted in the heart, and if it doesn't serve that, then it has to go. And everyone is on their own unique individual path, and we need to embrace that. And and nothing against raw vegans or fruitarians or carnivores or whatever. Love is love. It's unconditional. So that doesn't say like, hey, you have to eat this in order to get my love, right? That's called conditional love. So I'm very much a vegan, and I do everything plant-based, whatever. Like, all these are just labels, and I honestly don't like any of them because of any box is going to limit your potential. So I use that for SEO, and I use it for getting my message out there. Of course, we have to play the game and be involved with everything. And yes, I practice 100% all of these things. And we again, that's why I created my channel like this, because if you ask me, this is the deeper level of understanding. We can talk about karma, talk about these other, metaphysical things that are really pulling the strings behind the puppet, not so much like the bananas or, what you're eating on the surface, because at the end of the day, for me, I'm all about, I'm a yoga teacher and meditation. I read scripture. This is what we're talking about here. Even the word detox, this is ancient knowledge here, the first enemas when you read, the Essene Gospel of Peace, or you get into things, was a freaking gourd, that they hung in a tree, and it says, "Thou shalt cast the demons," right? I mean, it's something that it's very, very ancient knowledge, and just the only thing that's different now is the vocabulary that we're using. And I completely agree with you as well. There is a huge void in people's heart because they don't belong, they don't have that purpose, because of the environment that they're in isn't helping serve that purpose. It's not conducive for the soul. And we live in the rat race, we live in this machine, and people are tired of it. People are tired of the pharmaceuticals. People are tired of feeling like crap, and they want answers. And whatever, like I just tell people, whatever floats your boat, and I'm right there with you. I've seen this firsthand in Alaska too, living in Alaska, living in places where there are no cows, there are no factory farms, people hunt, people fish, they fill their freezers, blah, blah. I've seen it all. I'm not going to go up to Alaska and tell people to be vegan. I was vegan there. I was eating only salads and getting berries and doing my thing, but that's, I'm not going to push my agenda onto anybody else. I'm just here to be a warrior for the light and the truth, So I that's why I commend you. Like I said, this is something that, people have to whittle through all of that stuff to, kind of really find what works for them. And that's all I want to promote, whether it's the zeolites or the clay, that could be something right there that nobody even heard about. Was that could be their aha moment and be like, wow, I should go check this out and start doing this. That's what it was for me. I mean, I was doing so much fasting and so much, fruit, all that stuff is amazing, but these little, tweaks that you can really, really get the most out of life just by adding those protocols into your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to answer your question that you asked me, I would say that, a really good place to start is with colon cleansing.
Yeah.
Colon cleansing.
I agree.
There's many different ways, but we have to remove the old fecal matter. Most people are dealing with 5, 7, 10 pounds of old rotting fecal matter. So we have to get rid of that. For that, juice fasting is incredible. Water fasting, enemas, colonics, psyllium husk and clay, magnesium, triphala, and many, many other ways of cleaning the colon. But that is step one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can basically walk around town and just look at someone and be like, okay, well, that person has 12 pounds of fecal matter. This person has about 15 pounds of fecal matter.
Yep.
I mean, I could smell somebody now with how sensitive I am, because unfortunately or fortunately, when there's this dichotomy that happens with the cleaner you get, the more sensitive you become.
Yes.
You become a finely tuned instrument. And I'm walking around town shaking people's hands, and I'm just like, woof! You need to clean that colon out. Almost like X-ray vision, knowing what's inside of them because of what's come out of me.
Oh, dude, I hear you 100%. Especially the sauna, man. It's like you get in the sauna, it's like that's leveled out. It's like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you had for breakfast, yo, and it is not serving you. Spot on. And that's for me, like, honestly, I got too sensitive, honestly, when I was doing a lot of fasting and a lot of fruit and everything. Like, I was just living in the clouds, and it was something that I was talking like 10 times faster than I'm talking to you now. I had way too sensitive where I couldn't even approach people. So like everything, it was just too much. And I have to, eat some potatoes to ground myself. Otherwise, I'm just going to be living in the clouds 24/7. So you really have to find that you are going to get really sensitive with this energetically. That's again why I talk about spirituality and yoga, because that's where the answers are with this, developing the chakra system, really getting into higher intelligence. So you're decalcifying the pineal gland, right? You're getting the Anya chakra opened up. You're developing these perceptions and psychic abilities and all this wonderful stuff that happens when you start detoxing. So it's more, like I said, than just what you're eating.
Totally. Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. Step one is definitely the colon, getting that cleaned out is essential. I would just, shout out a little reference, John Wayne, right? There's an article in the paper. I think he had over 35 pounds of undigested fecal matter when he passed away in his body. There's an article in the paper, classic John Wayne, meat and potatoes type of guy, right? And it is just, you got to get that stuff out. And it's very important because that's where the clarity of mind is happening, right? The nerve endings and the small intestine, everything is shooting up to the brain. And that brain gut connection, like I said, science has finally proven it. And now people just gotta, wake up, call themselves out. You know what I mean? Like you really got to put in that work. I'm a big fan of the home enemas. Colonics, not so much. It's just a little too much pressure, but at-home enemas are definitely safe, effective. Anybody can do it for a few bucks, or even without a few bucks, you can make a little rig at home yourself, you know? So that's what I'm all about at the end of the day. What's like natural and sustainable, what you can really use, you know, that's going to help you. And these are just like tools on your tool belt, right? It's like you can feel yourself get backed up now, right? And it's like, you know what to do, you know, instead of just being all toxic all the time, you actually have a protocol to go to and you know how to take action. It's self-empowerment, self-healing, right? So the colon's clean. Now what do we do? Now we got a clean colon. And now what's the next step?
Well, now we got to love ourselves. So I think self-love has to be present the entire way.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that.
Critical moment here. So there's just like a 15-minute window here where the sun gets unbearable. Looking out the window while we talk.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, once the colon, during the colon cleansing, self-love has to be at the forefront of all of this. Touching ourselves in the heart, you know, massaging ourselves, and just, this is how I made it through the darkest night of the soul, is just with, I love you, brother. I love you. I mean, I used to talk to myself as if I was my brother, as if I was my friend, as if I was my father, as if I was my mother. I would talk to myself in any role that actually felt good in that moment. Yeah. And generally it was like talking to like a little baby that's crying. And I was just like, it's okay. It's okay. I got your back. Yeah. You know, one of those things, the saying that got me like feeling some resemblance of peace was like, I got your back. Whatever it needs, whatever needs to happen, I got you. Whatever we need, money, like whatever needs to happen, I got you. We're going to make it, you know?
Beautiful. I love that. So important.
Yeah. Critical. So, then I like moving into liver cleansing. After the colon, the liver, kidneys, gallbladder, I really like a product by my friend Spencer. It's called Glytamins from Remedy Link. And I also really like Global Healing Center Livatrex. And you combine that with the Moritz gallbladder liver flush. That seems to work really, really well. I like, you know, thorough liver cleansing, maybe doing 2 or 3 back to back to back while continuing to clean the colon. Yeah. Binders during this time, gut healing. So I typically, it's like, you know, typically people who come to me have done a lot of detox, so they've kind of made it past that colon cleanse phase. Yeah. It is an ongoing work to clean the colon, but there's that initial bulk phase where it's like, okay, you got the 10 pounds out. Now maybe you'll be backed up, or maybe some old mucoid plaque will come out. But once that colon is clean, you're kind of past the hump, you know? Yeah. And that, in my opinion, takes people to a whole new tier.
Big time. Yeah, I completely agree. The liver, 100% spot on. The only thing I would probably add to that is just I see a lot with the coaching that I do with the kidney and adrenal connection. Kidneys not filtering. The way that I look at all of this is like, you know, organ systems are basically not filtering. You know, we're not operating at 100%, you know. Some of them not at all, probably even 0% for a lot of people. They're just completely shut down, you know. Liver because of alcohol, whatever reasons. You have to remember that it's 7 generations, right? Like our ancestors' things. So you're only getting things that are passed on to you. That doesn't mean you can't change them. I'm just saying that, you know, even if you were, you know, heavy drinker or something like that, and you have a stagnant liver, it could have been your dad or your grandma, grandpa, whatever sort of thing. So it's important to just be mindful of that. And then the kidney adrenal weakness just is what I see. I think mostly because of our environment, our very overstimulated environment to the nervous system, right? We live in this social media, dopamine addicted, crazy world now, and it's very taxing on our human body. We have this, you know, DNA, this mechanism, this body that's been around for eons, thousands of years, and now we are in a new environment where these stressors are just like, we're getting hit with a stick in the corner, you know, every day through trolls and haters and people you're trying to keep up with in your workplace or whatever. And that used to be like a bear in the woods that would, like, you know, trigger your fight or flight response, and then that was it, and you knew not to go near that bear, and then that was it, and you're good. So we've kind of come a long way. We just have the same biology, so it's just important to remember that. And, you know, for me, it's meditation, like having a tool tool that really, centers you and grounds you and brings you into that oneness, that calm, heart-centered place in your life. If you don't have that, you're very easy to get, sporadic and overstimulate these systems, and that's when they can start, getting sluggish. Like the liver is probably the most common, and the kidney, adrenal, and so on. So cool. Yeah. So for me, everything kind of stems down to the lymphatic system, which I know you know about. I think that's one thing we just have to talk about a little bit, because at the end of the day, I think people understand, that they need to detox their liver. They understand they have a drinking problem. I think inflammation is a big word, right, that people are getting to understand now, especially just foods, right? So just talk about that a little bit, like certain, like corn or soy or whatever, like things that's what I call trigger foods, right? How can people help avoid these trigger foods?
Yeah. So I would say for the lymphatic system, I think I just did probably the most powerful thing an individual could do for the lymphatic system. Maybe combo is up there, but I did something called regenerative cryotherapy in Germany. I just got
Oh
back
yeah.
2 days ago.
Sweet. Awesome.
Dr. Dorachov, and he actually freezes the tonsils.
Wow. Cool.
Cryogenically freezes it, and in the next 6 weeks, my tonsils will regenerate, my lymphatic system, my adenoids, my sinuses. I think it's called Waller's ring, where it's kind of all of this together.
Yeah, you had an issue, right? There was an infection or something recently.
Yes, after all my chronic illness, I have not been able to heal my tonsils. Like my tonsils are just chronically inflamed.
Yeah.
No matter how healthy I eat, no matter thousands of dollars of lymphatic herbs and supplements that I've taken. So I'm definitely open to suggestions.
Well, you're getting into the cellular level like me. It's the same thing, because once you do this for a long, long time, that's still detox. That's still coming out of you, right, through the tonsils, and it's always going to be that vessel that it's stemming from. So, I mean, I'd have to see your eyes and get into iridology a little bit, but the head, is a major lymphatic drainage that's happening, and it comes through the mouth. I have similar things, and people think I have bad teeth or issues, or think no, this is detox. This is happening through the lymphatic system, and you're digging really, really deep here on the cellular level, and it has to come out of your body, right? That's the thing, is like, where's it going to go? It's not going to go back into your bloodstream and circulate. It's not going to come out your pee or whatever. It's going to come out like the easiest way that your body can handle it. And I've like had major healing crises because of a lymphatic drainage that is happening through abscesses in my teeth, through places in my body where that waste has to come out because of those protocols that I was doing. So that's, I think I remember watching a video of yours not too long ago that was talking about that, and that's the exact message that I got. So the cryotherapy with the tonsils freezing, that's awesome. I mean, at the end of the day, the alkalinity and the hot cold therapy is huge. I'm a big fan of that. I think Wim Hof, I think you know about him, right? He's popularized ice and cold therapy, and it's just awesome to see that again be proven on the scientific level, where people can control their immune systems and really do this themselves without thousands of dollars and things. Like, you can really do this at the home level and just heal yourself. So you're going to continue to feel that until that waste, that drainage is completely gone for good. And who knows what that is until, like I said, you really pinpoint it. For me, it's iridology. I don't know any other tool to really confirm what that is as far as what's going on in the body. Like your hair follicle test and things that you did is good to give you an exact like parts per million for metals and things, but iridology is just a little bit different when it comes to just bringing clarity as far as what weakness, what part of the body is being hit with this heavy, stagnant lymph.
Dr. Morse has a formula for the lymph, right?
He has several all herbal formulas. Yes, several as well. Just different herbal, components too. And there's dry. He does tinctures as well. I'm like you. I do a lot of that, and then I do home remedies and kind of mix it all together. I love what you mentioned with Global Healing Center. There's a few, people out there that are, producing some really good stuff. And then I've gone into some like advanced nutritional coaching where it's kind of like prescription grade, enzymes and things like that you can't get over the counter. I've pretty much done everything under the book, man. At the end of the day, like I said, to me, it comes down to like the meditation practice and the breathing. That's probably the most overlooked part, because the lungs and the way that we're breathing is so just erratic. It's not proper for really detoxing, and you can detox a lot and remove all of these impurities through meditation and through yogic techniques. And this is something that I tapped into that, like I said, I just started connecting all these dots. Robert Morris is the one in my mind that's really pioneered the lymphatic, system as far as bringing it to the forefront. Other doctors have their own little niche medical medium, is doing a great job with celery juice. People are understanding hydrochloric acid. They're starting to get in tune with their gut microbiome. All of this stuff is coming full circle for people to really take action on. And it's just exciting, for this to be available. It's kind of funny to see it firsthand with this war between pharmaceutical companies and, nature. Basically, that's kind of what's happening right now. And this big push on both sides. I mean, I haven't watched TV in a while, but, it's just all, pharmaceutical commercials now. You can obviously see where the money is and where the politics are and how all of that plays into it. But at the end of the day, the herbs and things, are here to help us. They've always been, like the adaptogens that you're talking about with reishi. All of this stuff has been around for a long time. People, in the Amazon knew about it. The shamans knew about these specific, recipes to make, to heal, to cleanse. And to me, the way that I look at it, this is happening on a spiritual level, the causal plane. That's where we need to address it instead of like the physical. There's always something happening behind the scenes. I'm sure you've experienced this in ayahuasca, and I'm curious about your trip too. I watched that video. That was so good. The video you made, that was your first video before ever making a YouTube videos. I was like, dang, I wish I would have done that kind of stuff, man, because I'm the one who just got on the grid and just got a camera and a cell phone like a few years ago. But if I would have started all this or had a phone when I was like, 15 or 16, things would be completely different. So it's cool that you have records of all that stuff, because at the end of the day, there's some real truth into that. And I believe you can regenerate any organ, anything on the physical, no problem. And like I said, it's just a matter of addressing all of those layers, the spiritual, emotional, all of those layers, in order to create that holistic approach that we're after. Yeah. So let's go into that a little bit. So how, do you think ayahuasca is the answer for everybody? Do you think plant medicine is the thing, or should they just stick to their colon cleanse?
Yeah, I'll let me just mention in about 7 minutes or so, I got to run.
Sure.
I was late to this call, and that's my bad. But
no worries. Happy to have you here.
Call that I have to get to.
Cool.
But I would love to end with that ayahuasca conversation. I think ayahuasca is a beautiful tool. I think it's a very misused tool, and I think that a lot of shamans and folks around the world are using it for profit and for fast spiritual shortcuts. But it's a very, very sacred, deep, ancient medicine, and when used in that context, it's a beautiful tool, because I think it's one of the most powerful ways of snapping someone out of a multi-decade depression or multi-decade faulty blueprints and neurological habits.
Yeah.
But when it becomes a crutch, or when it becomes like a pill, then I start to believe that it's not beneficial for an individual. So I think that it's a magical tool. I think that detox is the most important thing to do before embarking on an ayahuasca journey.
Yes.
Anyway. So people talk to me about hallucinogens, and I'm just like, okay, great, but detox before you get there, because these medicines cannot work with 12 pounds of fecal matter. They'll take weeks or months to even be able to work with you if you have, Oreo cookies and Gushers and whatever else we've been eating for 20 years inside of our intestines, right? So I do believe hallucinogens are a valuable tool. I don't use them anymore. They're not for me anymore. My filter has been so intensely traumatized between this reality and whatever else is out there through my ordeal with mercury poisoning that I have no interest in altering my filter. I live in a world that's very connected to spirit, and I don't feel that I need something to blast me off into outer space. I feel very connected on a spiritual level. So for me, I'm sure that I would gain insights from it. I'm sure it would enhance my connection, but I'm on a tortoise path right now. I'm more of a marathon, and it's the only way that I can go. I tried the sprinting, and the universe for me, but now I'm on to No, I think I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, you split out for a second. You just came back. You're good.
If it takes me another 20 years to have total, utter peace and clarity and bliss, so be it. If it takes me 50 years, so be it. Right now, I could go the rest of my life with how I feel internally, and I'm a happy camper. I have a lot of work to do. I obviously would love more peace, more energy, more clarity, but I could go my whole rest of my life from this place, plus or minus 33, 40, 50%, and I'm okay compared to what I've been through. So I'm a very cautious walker on this earth walk right now. And I don't really mess with my biochemistry too intensely. But and I would encourage others to treat their biochemistry the way you would treat a baby.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Beautiful. I'm right there with you. I'm definitely in the slow and steady approach. That's what's going to win the race, brother. 100%. It's definitely not going to be this overnight thing. And even if it was, like, that Band-Aid's going to get ripped off. That's what I think. I call it the slingshot effect. I see it all the time. People go then, they slingshot right back into the Oreos, or whatever, meat, whatever it is. And I'm all about that slow and steady approach. So thank you. That was beautifully said. I get a lot of questions about that. And I just, you clarified it beautifully. A lot of people are into DMT, different plant medicines. It's all wonderful, but you're definitely messing with a biochemistry, a very natural rhythm that is already within your body. And to be honest, you don't need anything outside of yourself. It's all right here. So it's, well said. Well, cool, brother. I don't want to take too much of your time. How can people, plug you, plug your site, plug all the magic you're doing on YouTube, and we'll get some listeners headed your way.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to share your video on my channel as well if you want to send me the link.
Cool.
So we'll plug you after me. So it's thedetoxdudes.com and it's The Detox Dudes on YouTube. I imagine you'll have a link to both of those on the info description.
Yeah.
And those are the two best ways to find me. And what about you? It's The Infinite Cup, right?
Yep, The Infinite Cup. I'm on YouTube, social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. It's all The Infinite Cup, theinfinitecup.com. Yep, we're on the same team, brother. Keep it up. Keep up the good work, man. It's amazing. It's an exciting time to be alive. All this stuff is readily available now to everybody. To me, there's just no more excuses. That's why I tell people, like, just, I'm not here to sweep my problems under the rug. It's this conscious community that we're all wakening up to, and it's all centered in the heart. It's all love. It's all pure, and it's just exciting. So thank you again for taking the time. Much love, and keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you, Robert. I'll be posting your information in the info description on my channel. So.
Yeah, you as well. I'll have all the links and everything in the description below. I might get a few of those links too for some of the products that we talked about as well, and throw those in there, make it easy for people.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Namaste, brother.
Okay, blessings, brother.